Okay, so today we're going to look at micrometers. On our micrometers, now there would be more up on this end, of course, would be the big like C type thing with the jaw here. There, like that. And as you spin the thimble here, this part moves in and out. The threads on this thimble are set so that a complete turn of that thimble is 25 thousandths of an inch. So that those threads are very, very tightly there, very fine threaded. So to turn that, to close that, you actually literally have to turn that 40 rotations. So they never set up micrometers to move more than an inch of travel. I mean, I guess I did see one that was 2 inches, but that's very, very rare. So these are usually labeled right here as a standard 0, 1 inch. Or you might see them labeled as a 1 to 2 inch, or 2 to 3 inch, or so on, in 1 inch increments like that. A 0, 1 is your standard one where this jaw here, or this here piece will actually come tight to that, and it'll close tight. In a 1, 2 micrometer, when that is all the way out, there's still a 1 inch gap here. So the farthest it'll close is down to 1 inch, and it'll open up to 2. A 2, 3, same thing. The farthest it'll close down is to a 2 inch gap, and it'll open up to a 3 inch gap. This part here is called the barrel. And it's on the barrel that we take our main measurement, our first measurement. Now, we said there's no whole inches here because this only goes from 0 to 1 inch. So it's always going to be 0 whole inches. The numbers across here then are tenths of an inch. That is 3/10 right there. Now, like we saw on the Vernier caliper, it also has quarter marks. So this is 0.3, but this is 0.325. So we're starting out at 0.325 inches here. Then we're going to the thimble. What's on the thimble is in thousandths. And where we read the main scale, of course, is at the edge of the thimble. Where we read the thimble is on the axis of the main scale. So what on the thimble lines up with that? 15. So that's another 15 thousandths. So that adds up to 0.340 inches, or 340 thousandths of an inch. You just get a digital one? Well, it's the same thing we said about the calipers with the digital ones. The digital micrometers, they have to be calibrated often, and they have to be calibrated near what you are measuring.
Couldn't you just like close them and zero them out?
That is one of the ways to calibrate them, is close them tight and zero them out. But depending on the temperature and stuff like that, the further you get away from zero, the more off they're going to be. So like say if you're with a caliper, if you're measuring something that's like 3 inches, you want to calibrate it close to 3 inches. So there's gauge blocks that they use that are actually precisely measured. So you take a 3 inch gauge block, you close it down, and you zero it out. Now it's going to read 0 then at 3 inches, but so you have to do the addition onto the 3 inches when you do your measurement. Yeah, the problem is you have to calibrate them literally multiple times a day. As your temperature changes, their accuracy changes. And as I mentioned, with a caliper, I mean, for a good digital caliper, you're looking at $300, $250 to $300 minimum. For a micrometer, it's even a little bit more expensive than that because a micrometer only has 1 inch range. You'd have to buy at least 2 or 3 of them.
I got a $12 one.
The 0 to 1.
It just zeroes out
Yeah.
the micrometer.
I would be willing to bet that if you took it to a set of standard gauge blocks, it's a little bit off. This here is what we call an inside micrometer. It's usually measured for depths. So we'll look at those too before we're done. And then this is the metric that we'll look at. So let's look at our standard micrometers here. We know this is in inches because there's a couple of things. One is the main scale here. It is labeled 1, 2, 3, but there are 4 marks in between them. On a metric one, it'll be labeled 5, 10, 15. And of course, we'll see the marks in between them there. You can't tell here right now, but on the thimble then, it goes 0 to 24, and then 25 would be back at 0 again. So it actually goes 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, and then 0. So to read these, how many whole inches? 0 whole inches. Remember, 0 to 1. The 2 is representing the tenths, right? This next line represents another 25, another quarter, another 25 thousandths. So this is 0.225 to the edge of the thimble. Now we got to read the thimble. What are we going to read off of there? 15. Whatever lines up with the axis here. So 0.240. So on this one, how many whole inches? 0. How many tenths? 4. Have we made it to that first quarter mark? Yes, we actually just exactly made it to it. The thimble is on 0, which means we exactly made it to that quarter mark. So it's 0.425 inches. How about this one? 0.8. Have we made it to the 8? Are we just before the 8 or just after the 8? Or we're actually dead on it. How about this one? 0.9. 75. Good. 25, 50, 75. 5,000. So 0.005. This is 0.980 inches. This one is 0.575. We're not to the 6 yet because it's not quite back to 0. That reads 24 is what lines up there. Good. 0.024. The 7.5? The 7.5 comes together. This is 5. This is 25, 50, 75. So the 5 comes from here, and the 75 comes from that, 25, 50, 75. The 24 comes off of here. So we add that up, that is 0.599 inches. Over here, what do we get? 0.625, and that's 1,000th off there, so 0.626. Very good. Now on this one, before you go to read it, I'm going to tell you it is labeled as a 2 to 3 inch micrometer. So how many whole inches? 2. Good. 0.425. Then another 9 thousandths. So 2.434. How about this one? 0.725, and then so 0.022, so 0.747. This one? 0.875, so 0.023. 0.898 inches. This one is labeled as a 1 to 2 inch. 1.325 and 13. 1.338 inches. Any questions? Okay, back now to the inside micrometer. We're going to blow this up just a little bit. This is an extension out here. It's called the 3 to 4 inch extension, which means now everything starts at 3 inches. Then this is 0.225, and then on the 20 on the thimble. So 3.245 inches. How about this one? Careful. It's got the extension again, so it starts out at 3 inches, but notice the difference between those two. Anybody see it?
Oh, it's extended more.
There's an extension right here. That is a 1/2 inch extension.
How are we supposed to know that?
You weren't up until now. These actually only go up to 5 on the tenths range here. They only go up to 1/2 inch. So to get that other 1/2 inch, they put that 1/2 inch extension in there, along with the 3 to 4 inch extension. So this starts as 3.5, and then this is 0.325, and then 12, so 3.837 inches. It's a 1/2 inch, yes. Either it'll be labeled like this or it'll be a 1/2 inch. So this one, yes?
How do you get that 3.5?
3.5, okay. This is a 3 to 4 inch extension, so use the small number, it's 3 inches. And this is a 1/2 inch extension, so it's 3.5 in extensions. So like this one here, we're starting out at what? 2, because the 2 to 3 extensions. Is there a 1/2 extension in there? No, there's not. So we're starting out at 2.350, okay, and then on the thimble, 0.024, 24 thousandths. So 2.374 inches. This one is a 3/4 extension, so we start out at 3, and there's a 1/2 inch, so 3.5, good. Off the barrel, 125, then the thimble, 10, good. How about this one? It's 4, good, and the 1/2 inch, so 4.5 is where we're starting. 0.475, and then 0.24. 4.999. Next we have this one. This is metric. Now notice, as we said, this goes 5, 10, 15, 20. So this would be 16, 17, 18, 19. And of course this is 15 and a half, 16 and a half, 17 and a half. So these you got down to a 1/2 millimeter. The thimble here goes from 0 to 49. So you see 0, 5, 10, all the way up to 45, and 0 is, the 50 is back to 0. So this one reads 20, have we passed the 1? Yes. So that's 21 whole plus 5. So that's 0.05 millimeters. That is reading in hundredths of a millimeter. So this one here, what do we start out with on the barrel? 15, 16, 17, 18.5. And on the thimble, 0.45. So this is an 18.95 millimeter. How about this one? 6, 7, 8.5. But we're at 0 there. That means even though we barely see, you can't really see the edge of the line, we've actually just reached 9. So that's exactly 9.00, only 2 zeros. 9.00 millimeters. This one, be nice, guys. What's this one? Okay, 14.03 millimeters. And this one? 17.5 we start off with. 0.35, so 17.85 millimeters. Any questions so far? Well, let's take a look then at so when this opens, first of all, is this inches or millimeters? You can tell it's millimeters. How? It goes up to 45. So it's 0 to 50 or 0 to 49. on the
Whoa, whoa.
what? Freaky watching it
A
unwind.
little bit. How far technology stuff.
What a day to be on.
So how about this one here?
6.
That's at 6. 20, 21, 22. It's between 22 and 23.
Yeah.
22, we go to the one that is closer to here. So 22. So this would be 6.22. How about this one? This is 6.5, and yes, between 48 and 49, but this one's definitely closer to 49. So add that to the 6.5 is 6.99. How about this one? So 5, 6, 7.5, and 43. So 7.93. Read this one for me in your notes. What'd you get? 10.07. Very good. That one's tricky because you can't really see the 10, but we just passed 0, so which means we just passed a line. So it is 10. And then you see the 7 there, but it's not 10.7, it's 10.07. Good. Inches or millimeters? Millimeters. This is actually inches. You're right. How do I know it's inches? Goes up 25.
What's that switch do? Can you click on that?
That switch? It doesn't do anything on these. Shoot, that's not the one I want either. Apparently this is the one I want. All that switch is a lock. I don't think that switch does anything here. You can't move it. Nope. All that does is if you've got one, an actual one in front of you, you move that lever and it locks it in place so you can't turn it. So you take a measurement and you just lock that so you can walk back to wherever and read it somewhere else if you need better light or whatever. So this one is inches or millimeters. This is inches. So if this is a 0.1 micrometer, what's this reading here? .250, yep. It's between 9 and 10, but it's closer to 10. So 0.260, right? How about this one? Hey, gentlemen, answer yourself. 0.375 and 23, so that makes it 0.398, right? So this one is going to read what? 0.409. Good. How about this one? 12. 0.475 plus 12 is 0.487. How about this one? 0.503. Good. Inches or millimeters? Millimeters, 0 to 45. If we open this up, you'll see it's labeled by 5s. Once we get there, I'll show you in a little bit. So you can see it's numbered by 5s down here as well. So 0 to 45 on the thimble, or 0 to 50 actually, and numbered by 5s. Now you can see these extra little numbers going up here. That is called a Vernier scale. So this one, we ignore that for now and we read everything else exactly the same. So this is 6 point what? Now this is closer to the 34 than it is to the 33. But this is the one big difference. When you have a Vernier scale, you always go to the smaller one. So this is actually 5.39, or 338. It's between 38 and 39. It's closer to the 39, but because of that Vernier scale, we're going to go to 38, the lower one. Because you can see what it is. It's part way to the 39. Well, how far? Well, that's what the Vernier scale tells us. One of these is going to line up with one of those. Now, these are nice enough to put a little pink line in there for us so you can tell which one lines up for sure. Well, they're really close. But the 8 lines up. So what that is saying is that this is 8/10 of the way from the 38 to the 39. Does that make sense? So this is 5.38. That 8 goes on the end. 5.388. So what's this one? 5.5 plus 1, 2, 3 or 4? Always a 3. Always the smaller one when there's a Vernier. So 5.5 plus 43, so 5.93. And the 4 goes on the end. Yeah, with the Vernier scale here, that's more precise than a regular. It just puts an extra digit on the end of it. From the caliper, yes. So what's this one reading? 6, 7. Is it 7.5? No, say just 7. Just 7. And that is between 31 and 32. We'll go with the 31 because there's a Vernier scale. So 7.315 is what lines up. How about this one? 7.5, 43, yep, so 7.939. How about this one? Is it 8? Have we made it to the 0 yet? That's actually 7.5. This is 6, 7.5. We have not quite made it to the 8 yet. We are just barely not quite back to 0 yet. This is 7.5 plus 49, which is 7.99, and another 9 from the Vernier. So 7.999. Inch or millimeter? Inch. This one works the same way. So, reading this is 0.125. 10, 11, 12. It's between 12 and 13. Even though it's closer to the 13, we go to the smaller one when there's a Vernier scale. So it is the 12. So this is 0.125 plus 12 is 0.137. And the 8 goes on the end again. So 0.1378 is what that reads.
So basically
The Vernier scale just adds a digit.
yeah, so the Vernier scale
or better.
10,000.
Yes. Yes, very much. I lost my train of thought there. Yeah, the micrometers for the inch micrometers are down to the 10,000th instead of just 1,000. And for the millimeter, they're down to 1,000th of a millimeter instead of just 100th of a millimeter. So all it does, everything reads exactly the same. You're just adding an extra digit. So the only two differences with a Vernier scale on a micrometer is one, if you're between on the thimble over here, you always go to the smaller one. And two, you add the extra digit on the end of it. So this one is 2.25, or 0.225, I should say. 0.225. Then this is 0.2254. The 4 just goes on the end. Does that make sense, Christian? Okay. In your books, page 183, exercise 4.4a, and page 186, exercise 4.4b. Do the odds in each of those. There will be a quiz next class on reading calipers and micrometers. Just fair warning. There might even be a section in it on reading a ruler or a scale.